Our lives are the sum of our choices. Bring home Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning on DVD and 4K now. Tom Cruise stars as Ethan Hunt in this action-packed thrill ride that film critics are calling the biggest and wildest mission yet. Go inside the incredible stunts with over 50 minutes of jaw-dropping extras when you buy on DVD and 4K. Available at participating retailers, rated PG-13 from Paramount Pictures. And for you, the listeners of the Bulletproof Podcast, I'd like to direct you to bulletproofaction.com, where you can enter our contest as we are giving away 4K copies of Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. So head on over to bulletproofaction.com and fill out the form, and you may win a 4K copy of Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Now, on to this week's show. Action fanatics, welcome to another edition of the Bulletproof Podcast. I'm your host, Chris the Brain. Joining me once again, it is the Toyman, Chris DePetrillo.
Joining you once again because that's what our fans have been wishing for. I just hope you guys have not been death wishing for me to join the Brain once again.
Yeah, you never want to make a death wish because a death wish always comes true. And speaking of things that come true, if you wish that Ryan Campbell was with us, that has come true. Ryan Campbell, welcome back.
Yeah, so I had a funny week, Brain. I matched with this girl on Hinge, okay? And one of her early questions was, so do you have a podcast?
Oh, yeah.
And the joke being, I guess, that all guys have a podcast.
Right.
And she had mentioned that a past guy that she matched with was on the Kurt Russell Rules podcast, a podcast dedicated to Kurt Russell. And she said after she listened to it, she unmatched him. So I was forced to send a link to this podcast. We'll see how it goes, but it's been a few days. Yeah, it's been a few days. But so if you're out there, guys that host the Kurt Russell Rules podcast, we're brothers. We got this. Back each other up.
Are we talking about Captain Ron Kurt Russell or the Thing Kurt Russell?
The Thing Kurt Russell.
Okay.
Which I thought was funny because I guess she, in the podcast episode about Death Proof, they said it was gross. And I said, well, what the hell did they think of the Thing? So,
yeah.
I don't know.
Right. Well, there you go. You may have just sunk your ship right there. I don't know.
Taylor, if you're out there and you're listening.
Welcome. Thank you for listening. And let's see how long you can last.
And what a nice guy Ryan Campbell is by giving the shout out to this female's previous, liaison, boyfriend, whatever you want to call him.
Oh, there's some similarities. I actually listened to like an episode, and they kind of break down the movie and they talk about behind the scenes stuff as they go through it. There's a lot of similarities to what we do.
Yeah, here. I mean, this is such a unique format that we do here. I'm surprised that anyone else ever thought of it. I mean, talking about,
how much meat is on that bone, though?
Whoa!
You gotta start
that's a question for her.
Really you gotta really be digging for Kurt Russell content after a year or two, I would think, right?
Yeah, I mean that's very, very specific. I mean he was a child actor, so they could be going way back. But yeah,
I gotta look and see if there's an Overboard episode.
Brain is still finding Barry Chan content out there.
Oh, goddamn! Yeah, Barry Chan. I love stumbling upon his content. But yeah, that's very nice, Ryan. You plugged a podcast, and this could be like the future Mrs. Ryan Campbell. This is her first mention.
Possibly, who knows?
And wouldn't that be something? You could play this for your grandkids one day.
We could then start a podcast called like Serendipipod or something.
Yeah. You can do that one if you want. I'm not going to be a part of it, but I would support you 100%. All right, folks. You know what else I support 100%? Actually, probably 110%. The one and the only, the legendary Charles Bronson. And one of my all-time favorites.
On the Council of Elders.
He is. He's somebody very special to me. And November is huge for Charles Bronson because November 1st is the anniversary of Death Wish 3. And this year, wasn't just an anniversary; it was the 40th anniversary Toyman, and Kino Lorber wisely got themselves out a new special edition release, both in the standard Blu-ray format and in the 4K format. But there was one piece of special feature footage that really had a lot of us intrigued.
Yeah, so when it comes to 4K, I have to admit that I'm one of those guys that I don't think everything needs the 4K release. Sometimes I'm happy with the standard or the Blu-ray, but for a film like Death Wish 3, which ranks high among my favorites, I know you love that movie. Death Wish 3 to you is like Saved by the Bell to me. And you couldn't be more different, which is why we gel perfectly together on this
Do you
podcast.
understand what just was said on this action movie podcast? Thank you. But go on, Toyman.
But yeah, the words alternate ending are certainly
Right.
a lure for a lot of people, and that was
Right.
something that I've never really heard discussed in any previous Death Wish 3 reviews or columns or write-ups, and certainly not on bulletproofaction.com. So for you and I, it was like an interesting little bit of trivia. Like, okay, this is definitely some content. This is something that appeals to us not only as podcasters, but also fans. And I have to say, I figured that if it was something really that veered from what we saw in the final product, we would have heard about it
We would have
sooner.
heard about it. Yep.
And really, it was a legit alternate take on the existing ending, which, for you Simpsons fans out there, I kind of chalk up to the words Poochie died on the way back to his home planet. It was just a little bit of a tag scene to the ending that we're all familiar with that, as we seek into tonight's podcast, doesn't exactly vibe with the continuity of the Death Wish franchise.
Yeah, it was like more like an alternate cut, which I guess is technically still the alternate ending, but yeah. And
So
again, I didn't.
they mention on commentary that they believe it was done for foreign markets.
Yeah, that's what I figured, because it just really has little extra stuff. Yeah, and to your point, if it was something so off the wall, it would have leaked. Paul Talbot wrote 2 books about Charles Bronson movies. He's like the Bronson expert. He would have said something about it, or he would have heard something about it in all his research. Austin Trunick, who did the Canon film guides, he had nothing. If it was out there, like a great example would be Universal Soldier. Like that, I've legitimately heard, that the Jerry Orbach character and the characters who played Luke's parents were all evil people and in on it and part of the conspiracy, and that they're getting arrested at the end of the movie, which is a very, very different ending than what we had in the Universal Soldier that hit theaters. So yeah, when it's something that drastic, you usually hear about it beforehand. But again, it was still nice to see a little something that we've never seen before, and obviously, putting this thing out in the highest quality possible and just giving it that love on its 40th anniversary. I'm not going to fault Kino Lorber for that.
No, certainly not. This was definitely a worthy purchase, worthy of being in the collection. And I believe this is the 3rd copy I have of Death Wish 3 in the Blu-ray and now 4K format. I have it on that Bronson trilogy set. I have the
Mm-hmm.
standalone Death Wish 3 Blu-ray, and now I've got
Mm-hmm.
the Blu-ray 4K combination set from Kino Lorber, which I urge all of you, Christmas is coming. If you've got a gift to get for the action fan in your life, you cannot go wrong with a little Charles Bronson.
Yeah, and if you want another one, there's the box set of Death Wish
Also
movies
true.
coming out.
Yeah,
If you
very
just want
big
to get
with
all 5,
the Ninja trilogy also
correct.
this Christmas season. So a lot of our favorites, a lot of canon classics could be under a lot of action fans' trees this year.
I was shocked we didn't get an American Ninja box set, but maybe they're holding that off for next year. Don't want to blow their wad all in one year. But yeah,
Maybe they
there it
should hold it
was.
off till 2027 for the big
That's true
anniversary for part 2.
For part 2. That is true. So there you go. Death Wish 3. That was something I was definitely looking forward to. Also, as this drops, Charles Bronson's birthday was, or what would have been his 104th birthday, was yesterday. So it's, it just seemed like yesterday that we were celebrating the Broncentennial. And here we are 4 years later, and we're going to be discussing the movie that had the unenviable task of following the great Death Wish 3. I'm talking about, of course, if you can count with me, Death Wish 4, The Crackdown, which was released November 6, 1987. So once again, early November is like Charles Bronson's week, baby.
That's a great title, given what we're going to be discussing within the.
Yeah, there's a lot of
context the film.
symbolism there with that subtitle.
Mm-hmm. And let's get into it. We start off as I wish every movie ever made would start off with the Canon logo. Absolutely, always heartwarming. And
A
then,
signal of excellence, Brain.
It really is. It is a symbol of excellence in action entertainment, and I love it. And you get chills when it comes up. And then, speaking of chilling, how about we start off in a parking garage for our opening credits? And I mean, right then and there, folks, you know I'm locked in already. This is a parking garage nightmare, though, Ryan Campbell.
Yeah, I'm wondering. It hasn't made any of your lists yet for World's Most Dangerous Parking Garage. But does the fact that it was a nightmare? Oh, it did. Was it which version was it?
This one did. This one, it's the second volume 2.
Ah, so you didn't have any qualms with the fact that it didn't actually happen, was in a nightmare.
Right, it is a nightmare. And there's a later parking garage scene.
There is. This movie's like bookended by parking garage scenes.
Spoiler alert, will likely show up in World's Most Dangerous Parking Garages Volume 3.
Charles Bronson is no stranger to a dangerous parking garage, that's for sure.
No, he had one in part 2 and one in part 3. So why not? He's got 2 in part 4.
Right time.
I feel like on October 31st, you should like leave out leather and mustache ointment in a parking garage for the ghost of Charles Bronson.
Okay. It's interesting. You should try that next year.
I'll let you know how it goes.
Let me know. So yeah, this woman, she's there, and yeah, we're just watching this, and we're like, yeah, we've seen Death Wish movies before, and this woman is terrified because there's 3 masked men in this parking garage where she's all alone, and guess what? Her car won't start, so she starts panicking, and next thing you know, this poor woman, it seems like she's about to get raped, which if you've seen a Death Wish movie, you know that's something that happens in these movies. But death intervenes. Toyman, it is our first look at the man himself.
Yes, Paul Kersey professes himself to be the manifestation of death when it's questioned by one of the assailants just who he is. So when we last saw him leaving town with his luggage in hand in Death Wish 3, apparently he made it to this parking garage, and he made it just in time in his long black leather coat, wielding his trusty pistol to blow away these bad guys, only to wake up in a cold sweat, realizing that his lifestyle has finally gotten to him and seeped into his nighttime routine.
You go ahead, Ryan.
I was going to say, my only issue is I think it really presents an interesting idea of the franchise about him reconciling with kind of what he's become now on 3 separate occasions. But then the movie doesn't really dive into it anymore.
I was about to say, you see this and you're probably like, oh, wow.
We're really heading for like a deep introspective look at like
the PTSD type storyline.
Yeah, like his life choices and how they've manifested in his life in other ways. And even as the movie goes on, you start seeing little windows where they could dive back into that well, but they aren't really interested in it anymore.
They're interested in following the canon rule, which is every so many minutes you better have some action going on. And that's what we're going to do. And that's what they did. So yeah. At the beginning, you think, oh, this is going to be a very different Death Wish movie. And it isn't.
In some ways it is.
It is.
We finally kind of leave the street level of it.
Right.
And kind of start heading for, the fancy top of it, which is new for the franchise.
That is true.
But yeah, I think some of the more interesting ways it could have gone. I still like the movie. Spoiler alert, we'll get to it, but I think there's an alternate cut, speaking of the Blu-ray we were discussing, that I would have really been interested in seeing.
And there were was it this one or was it 5? There was definitely one, and I think this came from one of Paul's books, Paul Talbot, where the Jerry character comes back from 2, and they bring in the Ames Jane Chill from the first one, and they kind of try to rehabilitate Paul or get him to turn himself in.
I would love to see an intervention where Paul thinks he's meeting his 5th girlfriend with a long relationship that he won't commit to, and it ends up being an intervention.
Yeah, so
we've talked about this a million times when we've covered the franchise. The first film really was the study of him breaking down, because
Right.
when he first goes on his killing spree, he gets sick, like his body is
Yeah.
rejecting what he's becoming. And then the second one was a worthy follow-up to that. But part 3 really just symbolizes, the 80s excess
Oh, yes.
with all the violence and everything. And that's what makes it so great. I mean, it's tried and true to the canon formula. It's a symbol of everything that was going on just in people's lives, in everyone's daily life in the 80s. It's just a perfect
Oh, yeah.
representation of
I was
that.
dealing with street gangs every day in 1985.
Well,
Constantly.
you know what I mean, as far as the excess, and you can
Right.
never have too much of a good thing. And then
Correct.
here we have this one where it seems like we're going back into, again, like that psychological, that really thought out process. And the one thing that we see here is that he's still a vigilante. We don't get into Death Wish 3 territory with the violence. It's almost very A-teamish, the way that Paul Kersey shows finesse with how he deals with his targets in this one.
Well, and it reminded me a bit too of another classic Bronson movie, The Mechanic, where he really,
Yes.
he planned all those out, and you had to do your research, and you just didn't go in there like in Death Wish 3. Yeah, he pretty much just went out there. He was like freaking Rambo, and
Ed
just
Lauder was like, go kill, and that's what
right.
he did.
Yeah.
Well, I think that matched the vibe of that movie, though, where there was like
Right.
a war, like it's a war on the streets for the soul of the city was kind of the
Mm-hmm.
vibe of 3, where this is very much more of a, you got to chop the head off the top, a little bit more, work
It's
your way
back
up
to
the
being a
ladder of
personal
bad
vendetta.
guys.
Right. There was more of a personal. I mean, obviously he was upset for his friend Charlie, but that's a lot different than someone you felt like was your daughter. But we'll get there. We're skipping ahead a bit. But yeah, Paul Kersey, after his trip back to New York to visit his friend Charlie, comes back to L.A. He has his own architect business now, and he is visited by Erica, played by Dana Barron, who was the original Audrey Griswold. And she shows up. We find out she's the teenage daughter of Kersey's latest love interest, Karen Sheldon, played by the one and only Kay Lenz.
Paul Kersey can land some baddies, that's for sure, Brain.
There's a reason George Costanza always wanted to pretend to be an architect. They get ladies. So yeah, she calls as Erica's there to confirm dinner plans for that night. And asks if Kersey he tells her, I really enjoyed your story on battered wives. Did it make you mad? Yes. So yeah, so we now skip ahead. Dinner's wrapping up at Karen's house. Erica's racing out to meet her boyfriend Randy. And Kersey being, again, he's treating Erica like that's his actual daughter. And obviously there's a hole in his heart where his daughter once was. There was a hole in her heart as well. And it was from a fence.
I'm glad that I'm not the one that made the joke that deserves the drum roll. Thank you for stealing my thunder on that one.
There's an insensitive joke in there too about the other holes, but we'll move on.
Oh, jeez, Ryan
Campbell's got a one-track mind.
I'm not
here
making
tonight.
it. No,
you took it too far. Now listen, you can make an impaling joke on here, but no. Okay, so anyway, he looks outside the window, and we see more doobie smoking. There's been some doobie smoking on this program. Not on this program, but we've talked about it.
How do you know? We're not doing video.
That's true. You could be doing whatever you're doing over there. So Brandy and Erica head over to the arcade because that's where they meet up with JoJo.
Does that happen in Arcade, Brain? It's not even like, I think it's more kind of like to set the scene. It's kind of like a boardwalk amusement park.
Probably like the Santa Monica Pier type area.
Yeah, so not like a strip mall arcade. This is like at an amusement park arcade.
Right. Mm-hmm. And JoJo has a special package for Erica. We cut back to Kersey talking to Karen about this Randy fellow, and he does well in school, and Kersey, well, I think Erica I feel like she's my own daughter, and she feels the same. Well, yeah, it's a nice time for Paul Kersey. He's back in a good place. So again, right now, it's like maybe he has turned the corner. Maybe.
I'd love. Sorry about that. It was terrible. I'd like to see them maybe as another nightmare sequence here that kind of plays into his fear of, or the lack of commitment. Because again, the movie goes as far as for Karen to kind of bring up why he's not willing to commit. They've been dating, 2 years now. Yeah. Obviously he treats her as his daughter. Like, so what's the deal? And I think there's something there about, like, he knows, like, if he gets too close, everyone around him that he loves dies. But again, I think another nightmare scenario maybe where he sees, his new girlfriend and her daughter die because of his actions or because he gets too close. Could have been a really cool way to go with the movie, but they don't really quite go there.
Well, he went on like 2 dates with Catherine Davis in Death Wish 3 and she died.
Right.
He didn't even have to be that close.
You gotta be in his vicinity.
He was pretty close.
Anyone that sent him a Valentine,
all the way inside.
Anyone that sent him a Valentine in elementary school is probably wound up dead at this point.
Yeah, they're dead. So yeah, Karen's there, and then that's when she brings up the commitment talk, and Paul Kersey is in a real bad spot. This is more danger than he's ever been in, Toyman.
Yeah, it's the vulnerable side to Paul Kersey. We're kind of seeing that he's got a bit of an Achilles heel. Obviously, after what happened to his family, it certainly changed him. He morphed into the vigilante that we know and love. And in part 3, obviously, he was avenging Charlie, avenging his friend. But, we know that his romantic relationship in that film, like you said, it was kind of one of those microwave relationships. It had just started. It didn't last very long. And it's not like he really needed the reason to kill. And in this one, they're setting him up where he's got that soft spot in his heart. He's got that family unit again. And now tragedy is about to strike. How much bad luck can one man have? We're about to find out.
Yeah, how could the same shit happen to the same guy 4 times? So yeah, Karen gets the phone call.
It's those damn drugs.
Saved by the Bell. Take that, Toyman. And Erica's been rushed to the hospital, so they go to the hospital, find out Erica OD'd on cocaine. Hush, my daughter doesn't do cocaine. She did tonight. So she's like going into cardiac arrest. Obviously, it's a code blue. Everybody, boom, trying. No, Erica is dead.
And Bronson does not put on his doctor coat like he did in previous
part 2.
Yeah,
correct.
In part 2, and try to get in there to get some help.
Which we covered earlier this year. We covered Death Wish 3 some time back, so you can go into the archives to listen to both of those. So now Paul Kersey's like, okay, now I'm going to have to start doing some things like I used to do. So first thing he does is like, the key here is Randy. He's the one that was smoking doobies with her. So he follows Randy. Randy goes back to the arcade, finds JoJo. Paul sees him arguing with JoJo. JoJo pulls him like, okay, there's too many people around. They go outside. And Randy's like, I'm going to the cops. And JoJo silences him by stabbing him in the gut.
You said that a little bit more subtle than Randy did, because Randy was more like, read my lips. Yeah. Cops, you, trouble. Like,
and nothing short
of 80s excess here.
Yeah, nothing short of a knife to my gut is going to stop me from calling the cops and telling them everything.
Yeah, it's almost like Randy should have called the cops first.
Yeah, he's kind of playing his hand here a little bit. Or overplaying his hand, I believe is the phrase, Brain.
Yeah, it could be. Kersey shows up, of course, and JoJo sees him coming, takes a shot at him, misses because He's JoJo. But Kersey hits him. JoJo ends up on top of like the electrified cage that
Oh, I love
powers
it.
the bumper cars, and there's just screams and panic, and the guy like over the loudspeakers like, turn off the goddamn power.
Everyone stay in your cars.
Oh.
Underrated kill, Brain. When you're looking at the like Mount Rushmore of kills in this franchise, this doesn't come up that often. Mainly because it was spontaneous and maybe at the beginning of the movie, but that is terrific. And it's not like overly complex, but yeah, that all that shit is electrified. That's how the things work.
Right.
I don't know if falling on top of it would cause that, but I'm sure it wouldn't be nice.
Yeah, I'm not going to try it.
No.
I'll tell you that. And now the cops show up, so we get to meet two of more of the key characters in this film. Detective Rayner, played by George Dickerson, who I will always remember from Death Warrant. And here's Toyman to tell you about his appearance on Three's Company.
I wasn't focused on Mr. Dickerson. I was focused on how you were going to seek into asking Ryan Campbell about one of these gentlemen, because
I'm getting to him next. Dickerson is yours.
I did not look to see what episode he was in. I know that he's a familiar face.
On an episode of Three's Company. I don't know whose boss he was. I don't think he was Bruce Springsteen either. I think he was just.
Let's check. Let's do this together in real time and see what episode Mr. Dickerson
I
was
knew
in.
I was helping out the podcast by bringing it to a screeching halt. Go on.
That's right. This is the opening act for the Ryan Campbell reaction, folks. I promise it'll be worth the while.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be amazing when Toyman figures this out. I thought he would have it at the top of his head. I mean, he knew the fucking librarian from The Substitute was in 4 episodes.
Peggy Pope is a more prominent character actress.
I mean,
yeah.
Take your time, because I think we got about 10 years before I have to describe where I know the other guy from.
Jeez. You're right. Da 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 da. Have you found it yet?
Do you want to hum the theme to Soap?
No. Come and knock on our door. Why don't you tell us what you found? I don't want to get copyright stricken for the theme from Soap getting interest, even if I'm just humming it.
Let's see. It looks like he was in the episode Jack's Other Mother.
Oh.
Yes, he was the boss in Jack. So that's when the old lady takes a shine to Jack and intervenes in everything, and he is none too happy about it.
Well, that certainly was worth the wait. Thank you, Toyman.
You're welcome.
Great content. That podcast of the year award is all locked up.
See, this is Kurt Russell podcast. Don't have that.
No,
Sorry, guys.
They can't, because it's easy to look at the IMDb. It's all just fucking Kurt Russell.
Right. You're right. Well,
we do the deep dives over here at Bulletproof Action, folks.
Yeah, something's deep over here at Bulletproof Action. All right.
Ryan Campbell. That's why he's on Hinge.
We also meet Detective Phil Nozaki, played by the one and only Soontek O, from one of Ryan Campbell's all-time favorite canon films, Missing in Action 2: The Beginning.
Oh, you should have seen the look on my face, Brain, when I was like watching the movie, and I'm like, what do I know him from? I know it's not Sulu. Like,
right.
What do I know?
People at the Dayton Gym Club that I will always remember going to the Dayton Gym Club to set up for an HWA event that was going to take place the next evening. But there was basketball going on, so I had to wait. So they had like a little private bar downstairs. So I was hanging out in the bar, and it was AMC's Death Wish week. And Soontek O came on, and the guy sitting at the bar like, "Hey, it's Captain Sulu." And I'm just like, oh, boy.
Ryan Campbell saw him tonight and was like, Soontek? Oh, shit.
Ooh.
I did. I had to go to the IMDb, and when I scrolled enough to see Missing Action 2, I started cackling.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Soontek O, part of,
Spoiler alert, folks. We know what movie Ryan Campbell liked more.
You're right. So then they talk to this punk who says, "Hey, the guy was driving a blue Tornado. I got a partial plate." The punk. Does anyone know? Did anybody recognize him from anything?
It's one of those ones where like Probably, but I didn't dive any deeper
Yeah,
into
another
it.
familiar face, but I didn't check it out.
I know it. He plays another Randy. He is Hulk Hogan's little brother in No Holds Barred.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm. Rip's
Excellent
brother
show.
Randy, who gets hospitalized by Zeus. Check out the No Holds Barred.
We did that one recently too.
Not recently. That was like early on.
Jeez, these all blend together. I remember being on that one, but I forget how long I've been doing this.
I think you're on something. All right.
I told you, you don't see video. You don't know what I'm doing over here.
Thank God. So Kersey goes home after doing what he had to do, and somebody slipped an envelope under his front door, and when he opens it up, just a single sheet of paper in there that says,
"I know what you did last summer."
No.
I was thinking the same thing, Ryan Campbell. Good call.
I know who you are. Mm-hmm. Then the phone rings, and the voice on the other end tells Kersey to go out to the limo that's waiting outside, and surely Kersey looks out, and there's a guy standing there. It's parked in his driveway, waiting for him. And he's like, if you don't meet with me, I will go to the police and spill the vigilante beans.
Oh, man. By the way, real quick, I did watch the new, I Know What You Did Last Summer, like the reboot or whatever, requel one. That was a piece of shit. That was terrible.
Ooh,
I've heard that across the board. I haven't watched that one yet, but I've heard it's very dull and boring.
Yeah, it also does a really stupid thing at the end with some of the legacy characters, but we won't get into that. This isn't a horror movie podcast, but it was a piece of shit. And I'm saying that, by God, it's not good.
Oh, yeah. That is one I got an invite to go to a screening, and I was like, yeah, no. I went to the Superman screening next door instead.
You can tell they were like, hey, Scream was able to kind of reboot it, really be successful. Yeah. Let's try it. And it didn't work.
No. Not everything's going to work. This podcast is a testament to that. Now, listen, the Kersey goes to this mansion, which is the mansion of newspaper mogul Nathan White. Do you think are there any newspaper moguls left? I think they just got swallowed up.
Jeffrey Bezos.
Okay.
He owns the Washington Post.
There you go. Thank you, Ryan Campbell.
Welcome.
I'm not up on current events, or I'm still dealing with the street gang problem I had in '85. So that's where we meet Nathan White, and I say this in quotations, and you'll understand why later. And it is the one and only, the always wonderful Mr. John P. Ryan Campbell. Obviously, you remember. Man. We just recently saw this gentleman.
Oh yeah, it was in what's the one of the school movies we did? Class of 99?
There you right. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, he's like the one that kind of takes over towards the end. The history teacher, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Also from another canon classic as well.
Oh, you are talking about Avenging Force,
which also celebrated its 40th anniversary this year.
It surely did. Did it?
No, wait. Avenging Force was 86. American Ninja was 85. That's right. Okay, so we'll be coming up on the 40th anniversary.
Next year, and I think Chad Cruz may already be working on something.
Will he get it done, though? Stay tuned to Bulletproof Action.
Yeah, why he didn't just finish it? He's so... God, people drive me nuts. All right. So... White gives Kersey a sob story about his daughter that died thanks to drugs, much like your daughter, the daughter of your friend, Paul Kersey. So he's pulling on heartstrings and
he's done his homework. Clearly he's done his homework.
And he certainly has. And he's like, you killed the pusher. That's great. But what about the people behind him? Now,
the guy behind the guy.
Right. Now, I've spent all my wealth to gather information about this whole organization and how it works and who's in charge of what and who's doing what and the whole process. But I need your skills to basically do a one-man war on drugs. And Kersey's like, the wheels are turning, but it's like, let me think about it. And then we cut to Erica's funeral. And it's over, and Paul is driving Karen home. Karen is starting to blame herself. I was too focused on my career. I didn't pay attention to Erica. And Kersey stops the car, pulls it over, and tells her it's not her fault. It's those damn drugs.
Death Wish 4, sponsored by Nancy Reagan.
Mm. And then
or there's probably there's a Dare ad in there somewhere too.
Nancy Reagan.
Paul Kersey would have made a really good Dare ad.
He would have. He did the ads for the Don't Pollute the Parks, but he didn't do a Dare ad.
He wouldn't dare, is what you're saying?
I didn't say that at all. No. Paul, that makes it sound like he was for drugs, but he wasn't. I don't know. I didn't know the man. I wish I did. Wish he was on this podcast right now instead of YouTube. Anyway, listen. Kersey.
Maybe he can, Brain.
All right. Put your seance book away. Listen now. Kersey. It's like, hey, you're a writer. Write about it. So she goes into work the next day, or whenever she returns to work. I would hope they gave her a few more days than one to grieve her damn daughter. But you don't know, these corporations, they're, especially back then. Nowadays,
especially when they're run by moguls, Brain.
Right? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I wonder if Nathan White owned her paper.
You think I got to where I am as a billionaire by taking days off?
Yes. No. Maybe. I don't know. Can you
got
repeat
it from
the
your
question?
daddy?
Karen returns to work and tells her editor she has an idea for a story. Oh, what is it?
Star reporter?
Drugs. Just very vaguely drugs. And he's like, not about it. This is like when Toyman's like, I've got an idea for a review. And he's like, and I'm like, oh, what is it? And he's like, Barry Chan. And I'm like, ugh. Nobody cares about Barry Chan and his moop face.
He even says it like
everybody cares about Barry Chan.
He even says it like in a Perry White voice. Don't you see? Nobody cares about Barry Chan anymore.
That's how Perry
Stop the
White
presses.
sounds?
He's got a Barry Chan review coming soon.
That's like Perry White when he was selling papers on the corner as a young boy. Listen now.
We're not talking about Perry White tonight. We're talking about Nathan White.
Are we though? So she insists though, and he's like, okay, but you got to keep me in the loop of what you're doing. So first thing she does is she visits the morgue.
I mean, he brings up a good point though during that part where he's talking about, and you touched on this a little bit, Toyman talking about how casual it was. Like he says, everyone's doing drugs, not just the street kids and the crooks, but the Hollywood actors and the movies, the movie stars, the millionaires. Like no one cares about it. They don't want to know about it.
Lawyers, Indian chiefs,
everybody.
Right.
Yeah, I got some crack on me right now. You want some?
Oh, don't say that.
I can't believe you said that. It was very, just completely tasteless after what happened to her daughter. But
yeah, she goes see the teenagers dead in the morgue from drug-related deaths, which is...
I thought it was kind of funny. None of them were like drugs, though. Well, I guess I think one, but most of them were like drug-related in that he was trying to rob a liquor store to buy drugs and got shot.
Right. Well, that tells you how it's much more of a problem.
Right. It's not just people ODing. Yeah.
Right.
There's a whole environment of gun-related or drug-related deaths that aren't just people ODing.
Mm-hmm. So then she goes to the arcade. I don't know how she knew to go there.
Because the movie need to move forward, Brain.
No, I would also guess that she probably well,
she's a reporter. I think that's one of those things where you just
OD'd.
Yeah, she's not just a housewife. Like she's a reporter. Right. Let's just assume she's got enough ears to the ground around the city to know where to go.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Well, she meets up with Jesse, and she flashes him some cash. And at first he thinks, oh, what kind of party favors are you looking for, mama? But she wants information. And speaking of information, Kersey meets with Nathan White again, and we're getting the big players, Toyman. We've got these are the main players in the LA drug scene. Ed Zacharias, played by Perry Lopez. Did you recognize Perry?
I did recognize Perry, but I'm going to leave that one to you because I made a reference earlier, which is going to seek into one of the Romero brothers.
Yeah, okay. Perry Lopez played Bronson's partner in Kinjite Forbidden Subjects.
Which is an
And
excellent movie.
he was one of those guys, I believe, like Paul Kersey, or no, I'm sorry, that's a character. Charles Bronson.
He's just that good, Brain.
We've talked about that. I've probably mentioned this before, but I'm going to mention it a goddamn once again. Paul Kersey, man, Charles Bronson. Charles Bronson would get these actors who may have been in the twilight of their careers acting jobs so they could keep their SAG benefits. Much in the same way that Angela Lansbury got all these old timers on Murder, She Wrote to keep them active and in the system.
Love it.
Very benevolent veteran actors and actresses they were.
Indeed. And who wouldn't want to see a Jessica Fletcher, Paul Kersey team up? That would blow the Thomas Magnum one out the water, if you ask me.
I mean, he was certainly writing murder left and right.
Ooh, he was. You know what else would have been? That actually would have more enjoyed Paul Kersey and the Equalizer teaming up. Oh, my!
I'm all for it. Let's write some fan fiction. Let's do it.
Ryan Campbell's got a bunch, but it's not for this, and it has nothing to do with action movies. And then we get
he mentioned leather and mustache ointment earlier. I don't know what type of fan fiction Ryan Campbell might have.
That's what I'm saying. It's not something we would normally. Yeah, we wouldn't talk about it on this program unless Chad Cruz was here. But listen, Romero brothers are the other two.
Find my Tumblr. Just find my Tumblr.
Okay. We got Jack Romero and Tony Romero.
And Jack was why I mentioned earlier, I made the guy behind the guy reference, which many of you listeners may remember was a quote from Swingers. And that's because, as I mentioned on our Cage podcast, when we saw Mike Moroff, he reminds me of, I guess you could say, the poor man's Jon Favreau, but a lot of similarities. He looks a little bit different here, not as much of a mook or a dope or, whatever type of, he wasn't a sad sack. But he was just kind of like a bit of a schmuck in Cage. He was one of the two down on their luck mobsters that kidnapped Lou Ferrigno. But here he's one of the kingpins that have become the target of Nathan White, as I do the air quotes that no one can see, and Paul Kersey.
And of course, Mike Moroff was also in RoboCop. He was the one who was robbing the convenience store. And we talked about him, Toyman, when we did our Angel Town podcast.
That's
He's
right.
the neighbor in the wheelchair.
That's right.
So
I really liked him in this movie. Like, he seemed just like a really chill drug dealer. Like,
yeah,
we don't really see him do anything in this movie that's inherently evil other than just knowing that he deals drugs. But like,
right.
It's because everyone else was doing the crack. He seems like a pretty like everybody else was cracking out.
He seems like a level-headed guy. He's like willing to meet with Romero and try to like let bygones be bygones. Like, let's just, no need to, let's make this work out. Like, he just seems like a really chill dude throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, he's more Michael Corleone, where Tony is more Sonny Corleone. He's ready to fight at a moment's notice. So White also is like, oh, if you need weapons here, and he slips him a piece of paper. So now we go back to Ryan Campbell's favorite character, Detective Nozaki, and he's found out something interesting. The bullet that killed JoJo came from the same gun from some of those unsolved vigilante murders from 5 years earlier.
Paul, you gotta be smarter than that, man.
Yeah, why is he using the same gun?
I know, and driving the same car and all these things. You gotta, come on, dude.
And he had a weapons guy he could have went to.
You're a professional now. You've been doing this for 4 films.
Well, so now they're like, okay, well, let's start checking out some of these names. Now we might not just find out who killed Joe. We might solve the long vigilante murders, unsolved, cold case. We'll warm it back up. So they check the DMV list and they start going, we'll have to start visiting all these people. And that takes him to the office of Mr. Paul Kersey, who kind of is like, first he's like, oh, okay. And then just kind of gives him the cold shoulder, continues to do his work and just answers their questions. And he has his cool, like, Harry Carey glasses on. I don't know that they're that cool. But yeah, when they leave, though, they're like, we need to find out more about Mr. Paul Kersey. And then when they leave, that's where Kersey flips over the papers on his drafting table, and he's got a whole vigilante planning station there, Ryan Campbell.
Yeah, it's his back cave, so to speak, with both his Wayne Enterprises and his back cave all in one. He's very, very efficient.
He's good.
Didn't do a great job of throwing off the scent of these detectives. He was very kind of just like matter of fact about it, but
like he should have been a little bit more.
Maybe he thought just kind of playing aloof and like I'm a busy businessman and you're wasting my time.
I'm so focused on my work. How could I be out killing people?
Look at this. You think a vigilante would have a fine establishment like this?
Right. It doesn't make sense. That's true. So then. We get some Nathan White narration. That becomes a thing here.
It's kind of narration, but it's almost more like exposition in the form of he's explaining his dossier. So it's a conversation we could easily see him having with Kersey, but instead of making us waste
keep
time,
it moving. Right.
Yeah, keep it moving. So it's not so much like, and then Paul went to take on. It's more like,
Right. So Kersey somehow gets a bartending gig at Ed Zacharias' birthday party. I don't know how he got it, and I'm just not going to care too much.
Maybe Nathan White put an ad in his classified section in his newspaper.
You're right. We then see Zacharias eat the nipple candle off of his erotic cake, which is something that I like to say that I don't think any human being in the world typed up that sentence, but me today.
But it's been said on this podcast. So if someone Googles erotic cake, this podcast is going to be coming up.
There's been some amazing sentences typed out this year, it feels like.
Yeah. Well, this is my favorite for this episode.
Ryan, you and I should research the notes of the past year and give Brain an award on like the last podcast we do.
Yeah, why don't you do that? Why don't you
get on that? Yeah, get on that, Toyman.
Yeah, that sounds like something that would require extra work, which is a sin in a lot of people's minds around here. So, and you know what? The party guests fucking love that he ate that candle. They're like, "Oh, you're so crazy, Ed." Very annoying. The Romero brothers then show up and they're bearing gifts, and should I call the bomb squad? Well, they have a real fun relationship.
What nice drug rivals!
Right,
you go to the birthday parties.
Right.
Hey, it's the golden age of drugs, man. There's enough space out there for everybody.
Right.
Now
you're in LA. There's plenty.
Yeah. Now when the trend starts turning down and the market gets a little tighter, then you start kind of vying for market share. But right now, there's enough room for everybody.
You're right. Kersey, or as he's posing as somebody named Leo, he's like, "Oh, we need some more ice." So he goes inside. But it's really just an excuse to plant bugs in all the phones in Zacharias' game room. And you will find in this movie that these mobsters have about 32 phones in each room. Every table has a phone on it.
And somehow just putting something in the earpiece automatically makes it just link to whatever the heck's going on. So,
that
in an era of non-wireless technology, really. It's just
that part, I believe, more so than that there's multiple phones. Zacharias has some business to conduct, and guess where he's going to conduct it? In the freaking game room, where Kersey's in there putting bugs in phones. So Kersey has to duck into the bathroom, but he can't help himself. He has to crack that door open to see what's going on. And he sees Ed Zacharias kill a guy who was skimming on the shipments to and from Colombia. So when he closes the door after that makes a sound. And then they're like, "Oh, we got to go look." They catch Leo washing his hands. And then Leo's like, "Hey."
He played it well. Starts washing his hands.
Using the toilet.
Taking a piss.
Nature called. So then Zacharias is like, "Oh, Leo, you look like a smart guy. Why don't you help this guy get rid of this trash?" But then he gives the Iggy to his goon. And Kersey's got to know. Kersey's a smart man. So they get to the garage, they put the body in the trunk, and before Kersey can join that body, he picks up the tire iron out of the trunk, knocks the guy, and uses the trunk as well, and he gets the hell out of there. Classic.
Iron.
Well,
Arnie Anderson would be proud.
he would be. Next up, Ryan Campbell, we get to see a young Danny Trejo.
Yeah, and I feel like that keeps happening. Like for someone whose most exposure to Danny Trejo is in his older years with that trademark face. I feel like he just keeps popping up in these movies we're reviewing in his much younger form, and he plays Art in this one, and it's always good to see Danny back out there.
And it's not the first time he was, well, actually, this is the first time he was an Italian mobster because Cage came after this, but another link to Cage because he was one of Al Ruscio's henchmen in Cage.
Mhm.
So playing against type from what we're familiar with in his later years, to your point, Ryan Campbell.
So they go and they sit down, have their meal at this Italian restaurant, and it's the same Italian restaurant that wine salesman Jack Kimball, aka Paul Kersey, shows up. He's going to visit, but this isn't just any wine. We're going to find that out. He allows bartender, played by Robert Axelrod, who pops up in numerous Charles Bronson movies, to taste the first pressing, and then he heads over to the Trejo table. And I was like, hey, wine on the house. And Trejo's character, Art, I believe Ryan Campbell did his research, says, hey, don't I know you? And he's like trying to keep this conversation going. But Toyman, Kersey's like, I got to get the hell out of here because that's not just a wine bottle.
No, it's an exploding wine bottle. Shout out to our friends at explodingwinebottle.com, which is not an actual site, but maybe it should be. Maybe we should start looking at films.
Hey,
Yeah,
Will.
I guess I'm piling more and more work onto the podcast.
Yeah, I'll give it to
Will.
Will, if you got the exploding helicopter, you need to have a spin-off exploding wine bottle.
Just in time for the holiday season.
Right.
Don't like your mother-in-law? Get her an exploding wine bottle.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Nothing says I love you, Mom, like shards of glass to the face.
Wow.
You should have one of those parody ads like UHF for an exploding wine bottle.
I like it. So yeah, we get a fantastic, very high budget explosion then, Ryan Campbell.
Oh yes, only the best for a Bronson film, Brain. Spared no expense. With
the dummy Danny Trejo burning.
That's not going to be the only dummy we see explode in this film.
No. But
bookmark that for later.
Those are the first three. So now at this point, we go back to Ed Zacharias. So he's like, what the hell is going on in this crazy world of ours?
My guys are dropping dead.
Right. More planning. And now it's like, okay, well, I've taken out some of Zacharias' guys. Let's now take out some Romero guys. And one of them works out of the back office of a video store, Toyman. And this was a Canon head. This wasn't as bad as the PM video store from Rage, but there was quite a bit of Canon content at this video store.
No, and it's always good to see video store representation. I mean, it is the 80s, but my sweet spot of nostalgia was hit just by seeing something like this. I do appreciate when there's basically a live Canon ad in the middle of a Canon film. Again, not as bad as PM Entertainment, but certainly if you're going to have movies advertised and adorning the walls and everything, it might as well be your own.
This is like if you ran a video store, Brain.
It is. I wish I did. It was definitely a candidate.
Did you have any of those posters, Brain?
With the break-in.
Because I know I'd have the breakdance poster.
Yeah, I was going to say it was the breakdance. It was the Euro title, breakdance. Yeah, I'd have that one. I might have the Roger Moore naked face. I've never seen that one. That's one I need to see.
What about the Leatherface cutout?
Oh, yeah, the big standee. Yep. For Texas Chainsaw 2.
I am surprised that you did not leave a note here about the lieutenant in this film.
Oh, yes, the lieutenant.
Please
Did he
share
look
with us.
familiar to either of you?
Yes, he's AC Slater's dad.
He is. Gerald Castillo played Major Slater, AC Slater's dad, on the greatest television show of all time, Saved by the Bell.
Saved by the Bell. I don't know that that's the greatest television show of all time.
In my humble opinion, I realize that we may have varying opinions because you still have not come around. Actually, I can't say you haven't come around on Barry Chan because you did enjoy Mean Streets of Kung Fu, but you will never spare a moment to remind me that you think that Barry Chan is just goddamn Barry Chan.
You are the reason that he's goddamn Barry Chan. If you would have
Barry Chan's just catching strays.
If you would have just reviewed Mean Streets of Kung Fu and been like, that was a really good movie. I liked it. It had Barry Chan in it. But then it was Barry Chan this, Barry Chan that, Barry Chan this, Barry Chan that. You could be reviewing, I don't know, anything, and you somehow would mention Barry goddamn Chan.
Goddamn Barry Chan. So you can't even get your insult straight because you know that you might be in the wrong on this one.
I'm not wrong. You ruined Barry Chan for me. That's what I'm saying. And anyway, everyone knows the greatest show of all time is Sanford and Son. Now, let's move on.
I mean, that's up there. I'm with you. I'm not mad at you for it.
So now we get Jack and Tony, and they're arguing, like, oh, what the hell's going on? One of our guys is out. I think it's Zacharias. I think he's doing I think he's taking out his own guys. He's taking out our guys just to make it look like, just to confuse us. Let's just get him.
See, he seems like itching for a turf war, while Jack is like, dude, slow it down, man. Let's talk about this.
He's going to get killed at a toll booth if he doesn't watch himself, is what's going to happen to Jack or Tony. Jack is fine. So now it's time to take out another member of the Romero organization. And it's their top hitman, Mr. Frank Bauggs, who has a swanky Wilshire Boulevard apartment.
Is it though?
Yes.
All the interior footage of the apartment made it look like pretty small apartment. Also, did apartments typically have like a whole ass door that went into the kitchen?
If you're in Wilshire Boulevard,
was the idea being like you have help that uses the kitchen, so maybe you're not using it, so that's why there's a door?
Probably. I never lived on Wilshire Boulevard, and I never went to the opera. I went to an opera house for about a year.
I'll tell you who doesn't love the opera is his lady, though. These two, the dynamic of these two, Brain.
These two could have had their own sitcom.
They were going for a spinoff, I think.
Yeah, Toyman would have had every episode recorded. What would it be called?
Boggs and Broad? Episodes that would have had Boggs and Broad.
Is that what it'd be called?
But no, you got to have like some type of witty title. It would be like, Boggs Me Down. And she'd be rolling her eyes while he's sitting on the couch, Al Bundy style.
Oh, you're always bogging me down. Yeah, that'd be good. Let's work on that too.
A lot of fan fiction coming out of Death Wish 4 tonight.
That's right. I'm going to work on that. Maybe not. So they head out.
Sitcom spinoffs from our favorite action movies. Top 10.
World's Most Dangerous Sitcom spinoff.
Yeah, what if there were sitcoms? Canon made a bunch of sitcoms. What would they be?
Let's say Canon launched their streaming service, Canon Plus, and they're like, "Oh, we need some spin-off series from some of our."
And let me tell you, there is somewhere
movies.
In my drafts. It did say there is a draft.
Brain's got a Wild Bill sitcom coming out of American Ninja 2.
There's a draft in my documents that says, "What if Canon had their own network?" And I had a pretty good schedule built out.
I mean, sitcoms are cheap to produce, and they have a stable of films to pull from. It's not not out there to assume that might be an avenue they would go to just get content, because that's what you need on these streaming services. You just need content.
Yeah, bogging me down.
What if they retconned Death Wish to be a family friendly type thing? Like, you see the trailer and Bronson's got a gun out, but it turns out to be a squirt gun, and now he owns a summer camp.
Toyman will be leaving for the remainder of this episode. We want to thank him for his involvement.
Into the penalty box you go.
Jesus Christ, what are you trying to do? All right, so they head out. Kersey breaks in, and he's like, oh, they're going to the opera. I got all night. So he's just casually putting these bugs and the 314 phones in Frank Bauggs' condo. But then they get down to the car, and she's like, do you have the tickets? And he checks. Oh, shit. I'll go back up. And we see that the detectives are staking out Bauggs' place because they figured, he could very well be the next target. And they were right. So when Bauggs gets back up, he opens the door and he's like, there's lights on. And he's like, wait a minute. I didn't leave these lights on. So then he's lurking around and he sees Kersey's reflection in the oven door. And he said, what are you doing in here? Making a sandwich. Okay. And a fight breaks out, Ryan Campbell, as one would imagine would.
Yeah, and I guess what he's supposed to do? You're caught red-handed. He's not like he's hiding in like the closet. He's just standing on the other side of the refrigerator. So like the jig is up. You got to come up with something. So I guess his thought was lure him in enough to then pull his rip down the oven door, knock the gun out technique.
It works every
Sometimes
time.
You got to lean in, Brain. Sometimes you just got to lean in.
And they get a knockdown drag out, and we get a scene similar, but not anywhere near as good as Mr. Joe Campanella's death. But quite similar, because we cut down to Frank's lady.
He takes the quick way down this time, Brain.
And she's like, I wish he would drop dead. And what did I say at the start? Never make a death wish, because a death wish always comes true. And sure enough, out the balcony doors, over the balcony railing, and boo, right on top of the limousine.
Perfectly placed.
Unbelievable. And obviously the detectives react very quickly. Rainer's going, I'll go up. You check, hey Nozaki, you look for anybody suspicious coming out of this place. And Nozaki sees Paul Kersey, sees him go to a blue tornado, but doesn't stop him, Ryan Campbell. And even more curious, when Rainer gets back down, he doesn't even say anything.
No, it's kind of the first, everyone's kind of play their cards close to the vest, especially detectives. Sometimes if you don't have the concrete evidence, maybe in their heads they've put the pieces together, but you got to catch them red-handed. So maybe there's some plausible deniability that they're going to give him just enough leash to hang himself kind of thing. But it's kind of the first little, maybe allude to something else going on, Brain.
Mm-hmm. Now Kersey's going to meet Nathan White at a movie theater. But I would imagine...
A very brightly lit movie theater. I wouldn't want to watch a movie in there, man.
More than likely the screening room at the Canon offices, I would imagine.
What a missed opportunity to have a little bit of some meta humor and have like Avenging Force playing.
Right. Well, yeah, that was out by then. Yeah.
Established that Canon exist. We've already established.
They did have the Othello Canon.
We've established that Canon films exist within the Death Wish universe.
Yeah. And they were watching Othello, which is one of Canon's masterpieces.
And the video store established that as well.
When they were getting artsy. So yeah, we get that, and this is where we learn about the fish cannery, where Zacharias processes his drugs. And you may have heard me talk about this on a little something called World's Most Dangerous Factories.
Pretty brilliant, Brian, when you think about like drug sniffing dogs. Would they be thrown off by the fish smell?
Fishy smell.
Or if you were like a cop that pulled over a fish truck, you'd be like, oh, just go on. Just get out of here. Blah, blah.
Right.
Brilliant.
Especially in the hot California sun.
Oh, it'd be miserable.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, they go, and Kersey blends in with the day laborers on the lunch break, gets inside, but of course he's not doing it. He's going to go to the restricted areas, and the most restricted of those areas, Toyman, is the drug lab.
Yeah, the drug lab, because when you think of a fish cannery, who doesn't want a little bit of drugs accidentally falling into the fish? That's why there were so many tuna fish addicts in the 80s, probably because of this cannery here.
You're right. A little bit of cocaine was in every bit of Star-Kissed tuna.
Also, up there on the list of like knockout punches in action movies has got to be Charles Bronson.
Yeah.
How many times do you just see him with like one swing completely knock someone unconscious for like an hour?
And not just someone. In this case, he knocked out the legendary Judo Gene LaBelle.
And it's always very nonchalant. He's like, "Oh, I just started today," and he's like, whoosh, and then that dude is out cold.
Yeah. Gene LaBelle is out. Kersey opens the door, sees that they're cutting the bags of drugs.
Oh, and there's some great Foley work here, Brain. The sound of them slicing up that fish. Whoever was doing the Foley work on that, very well done. The sound.
Yeah. Just makes
the knockout punch gives your hero, one of your favorites, Brain, Charles Bronson, a nice link to my favorite, Don the Dragon Wilson, because Don the Dragon Wilson and Paul Kersey, Charles Bronson, have both done battle with Judo Gene LaBelle on screen.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. You're right. When are you going to do a Don the Dragon Wilson? It feels like it's been a long time since you've covered the Dragon. Well, I guess he was in Black Creek.
And we should all talk about Black Creek at some point soon, now that it's streaming on Tubi.
Yes, we should put it on the list. All right. He shoots up the drug lab. Once again, we get somebody over the loudspeaker putting $1,000 bounty on Kersey's head, like instantaneously. But Kersey's got a bomb with him, Ryan Campbell, and he throws that into the lab. So obviously, at some point, that explodes, which means more chaos.
This was an interesting moment, too, because we did hear earlier when Nathan White's character is talking to Kersey, and he tells him, everybody dies. They're all guilty, from the slowest pusher to the top of the rain. And you can say that, but this is the first time we see Kersey like straight up just kill all these guys that are low level kind of drug.
Right. But he doesn't kill like the laborers who are just after like that $1,000. He tries to prevent that.
No, just the guys that are like in the lab, stuffing the fish. But I assume most of them are low totem pole guys. Maybe some of them are
part of the problem, though.
Yeah, but he just like
slave labor. They've been forced into it, or
he shoots them all up, and then he tosses that bomb in there and blows the whole thing to shit.
And once again, he does manage to escape after he steals a truck. And this is now where, if you had any doubts about Nozaki, it's all on the table now, because he pays a visit to Ed Zacharias. And Zacharias is like, you're not supposed to come here, but he's like, it's important. I know who's doing this. It's Paul Kersey. Well, but who's he working for? I don't know. We'll find out and then kill him. And Nozaki's like, I don't do that. You do now.
Boom. I got your ass.
Then we get something that recently appeared on World's Most Dangerous Office Buildings, because Phil Nozaki goes to Kersey's office just as his assistant is leaving, and Kersey is now the only one in the office, threatening him, and it is Nozaki who ends up in a ditch found the next day by a jogger. And when the Detective Rayner finds out about this, he is now on a mission to take down Paul Kersey. Because he's like, I know I know he was close to finding out the vigilante.
Yeah, he circled his name on the sheet right before he left, so that kind of implicated Kersey, and kind of led a trail right to him. It was a nice kill, though. He did the old
flip flop. Oh, finish your thought, Ryan Campbell.
I was going to say it was a nice kill with the old under the drafting desk shot.
Boom.
Right in the chest. Yeah. Bam.
I wonder how he covered up like the bullet hole in that like cubicle wall. Did he just like hang a like bake sale?
I was going to say he put some of his blueprints over it.
He put a Architect of the Year award over it. Just
excellent.
But I was going to say, we've kind of flip-flopped now where Kersey is wanted by the drug dealers, the cops. So instead of the vigilante targeting all these people, it's now he's become the most wanted man and everyone
Mhm.
seems to have their sights set on him.
Very true. So now,
The only issue though is I don't think Nozaki ever said Kersey's name when he was talking to Zacharias, right? He just said he knew who it was.
yeah, I think you're right. Right.
Yeah.
You
So
are
so I
correct.
don't think Zacharias has enough info to now go after the guy named Paul Kersey.
Right.
But we do find out here in a little bit, Brain, that he does have another force that he has to be dealing with.
He doesn't, but he does know that somebody's screwing with him and Romero. So
Right.
they need to meet.
He knows it's not Romero now at this point. Yeah.
Right, and figure this out. Right. Nozaki definitely said it is not. The guy's not working for Romero. It's obviously not Romero. So
It's a secret
Zacharias-
third thing.
let's meet with Romero. Neutral ground, the oil fields, but of course all these phones are bugged. So Kersey damn well knows that this was going down. So he gets there first, and he's got a damn sniper rifle. And they get there.
He looks so
and
badass holding that sniper rifle.
He does. That is they've used that for the poster, and rightly so.
That shot of like the end of Casino Royale with James Bond, where he's like walking up and he's got the silenced gun on his back. They're channeling Paul Kersey in Death Wish 4 when in that moment.
Agreed. So one shot from Kersey ends up, that's the spark. And we got a whole mob shootout going on. Zacharias makes a run for it, screaming, Nick!
I love the guy who takes a header right through the driver's side window.
Oh, yeah. Nick! Shut up, Zacharias. Kersey takes out Tony Romero before he could shoot Zacharias. But then he shoots Zacharias in the leg to hobble him. Zacharias is dead, just on the ground. He sees his guy Nick just drive off without him. And Zacharias says, "Why are you doing this?" And Kersey pulls out a picture of Erica. He's like, Zacharias, "I don't even know her." Or, "I did," or "I do," and kills him.
Not as good as the whole "that's my car" from Death Wish 3.
No.
I did miss a chance too for him to say that he was like death, like in the dream at the beginning of the movie there.
That's true. He could have. So we get Nick is out there. Rayner is getting chewed out by his boss now for messing with Kersey. And he's like, lawyers are getting involved. Stay away from Paul Kersey. But Rayner's like, fuck you. Nathan White now that all these mob guys, these drug lords have been murdered, sets up another meeting. And he's like, hey, meet me here. But when Kersey gets there, there's no White. It's just his driver. And he's like, oh, yeah, he got caught up with something. I'll drive you to him. Kersey gets in the back of the car. But then all of a sudden, the doors lock, and he sees the driver walking over to another car that's there to pick him up. Paul Kersey has been trapped. But not when he's got a gun, Ryan Campbell. That gets you out of any situation.
Yeah, they really should have shortened the fuse on that car bomb there, probably.
Right, I don't know why he didn't just as soon as he...
Gave him plenty of time to figure out a situation. But he pulls out his gun and shoots out the back window and gets a nice little crawl on before the car explodes, and he manages to escape. And now he knows that Mr. White something's been happening here.
So yeah, he's pissed off with Mr. White. So he's like, I don't care if he said up we weren't going to meet at his home again. I'm going over there. So he goes over there, forces his way in with a gun, meets the real Nathan White.
Bum, bum, bum.
Somehow doesn't call the cops on this man who busted into his house
with a gun.
Mainly
because that's his architect.
Maybe.
Aren't you? Didn't you build my last office building?
That's probably why maybe, though, Kersey at first is, because then he leaves, but he's pulled over by some cops, so he may be like, oh, shit. That fucking Nathan White called the cops on me.
Should have killed him.
And the cops find the gun on Kersey, which is illegal. But it's not very long, Toyman, before Kersey figures out these aren't real cops. They're not following proper cop procedure.
No, and this is a bit of rapid fire attempts to take him out. So we know that something's up because not only is John P. Ryan not who he claimed to be, And not only did this Nathan White apparently allow Bronson to go away unscathed, but the man just tried to explode. He did not try to explode. He just had to escape an exploding car. Now he's got to escape a cop car that is flipped over while handcuffed. It's not going well for Mr. Kersey.
No, and that whole handcuffing, crawling out of the car, man, that is a long sequence.
Checking on everybody. You hear the
I mean,
sirens.
he was 67 at this point.
I mean, I
He's not gonna
understand.
be as
Yeah,
graceful and agile.
I
Yeah.
did find myself like keyed in on the siren sound because you hear them, then you stop hearing them for a bit, and then you hear them again. It's just the distant sound of sirens
going,
coming.
and like nobody like came over there and like, hey, what's going? No, it's a very awkward situation there. But
They had to do it in one take. This is all we got.
right, and John P. Ryan, and we should point that out. We never know what his actual name is. He was the fake Nathan White, but they never referred to him as anything else. So from here on, we'll just call him John P. Ryan.
There are some reviews online that claim his name is Ferrari, but that's never explicitly said.
Yeah, I
in the
think
film.
I had, because I feel like I talked to Austin Trunick about it, and he had no idea. But it's possible, or
They
maybe
probably
I
were
just
afraid they would get sued by Ferrari. So whatever, if that got
right.
dropped, they were like, "Don't mention it. Don't put it in the list, the cast list."
But what
So-
is great about John P. Ryan is when we see him as Nathan White, purportedly, hiring Paul Kersey to seek revenge on his behalf as well. He's very well put together. He looks like a mogul.
Yeah.
And then when we get oh my God, this guy's trying to kill me now. Who is this guy? Because now I've met the real Nathan White. He has completely morphed into this high-strung, cracked out, credit to John P. Ryan because he's not playing the same role. Yes, he's this character, but the Nathan White that we've seen for the first 2/3 of the film is completely different from what we're about to see in the final, 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, he's so good, and he's loud and obnoxious, and we find out that Nick, who worked for Zacharias, has joined up with him, and he's like, as long as Kersey's breathing, he's dangerous. We need an edge. So they get Jesse to set up a meeting with Karen, where she is instantly abducted and thrown into a van. When Kersey gets home, Rayner is there waiting for him, and he is pissed. And he doesn't take kindly to Kersey saying, your partner was dirty. Check his safety deposit box. You'll find a ton of money, I bet.
Yeah, they don't like it when you accuse their deceased partners of being dirty.
And, so he's refusing to believe that. He refuses to let Kersey answer the phone, despite obviously hearing this woman on the other line pleading for help. He's very laser focused on Kersey, but Kersey takes advantage of that and manages to knock out Rayner.
With another well-timed punch, just boom, out.
Boom. He's one punch Kersey, and he heads to the roller rink, but not before Ryan Campbell. He pulls that refrigerator, and he's got a secret stash, which
man.
That comes back in Death Wish 5 as well. So that's something when he was building his homes, he's like, what better place to hide your weapons than behind the refrigerator?
That's where being an architect plays into it.
Yeah, who's going behind the refrigerator that often?
Put that little false wall back there with a nice vault back there.
Mm-hmm.
Load it up.
Beautiful. And here is where we get a real life, not a nightmare, a real life parking garage scene. And Kersey shows up. This is where they were supposed to meet, the parking garage under the roller rink. And Kersey sees them, and then the car slowly creeps towards their car. But a van slams into Kersey's car, but the car was empty.
Gotcha.
And then Kersey's sitting there with his grenade launcher and blows up the van. Jesse takes off, tries to drive away. He blows him up. Now John P. Ryan and Nick are heading into the roller rink because they got Karen stashed away somewhere in there. I think in the ladies' room. She had to take a dump. I don't know what she had to do. I shouldn't say that, but she may have. She may have had the shit scared out of her. And you can understand it. So they take her and like, okay, well, Karen is obviously a great insurance policy, Ryan Campbell. So as long as he's holding on to her, Kersey's not likely to shoot.
Yeah, the old, when all the chips are falling apart, there you just grab the loved one and put a gun to them. It's tried and true tactic.
And Nick's radioing the rest of the security that were in the roller rink to be like, he's coming, be ready for him. And as soon as the shots are fired, there's panic at the roller rink. John P. Ryan takes off with Karen. Kersey's dealing with everybody, including Nick, who he catches a glimpse of in the mirror and takes him out. And then suddenly, Toyman, we're outside, which is probably nowhere near this roller rink. But it doesn't matter.
It's like that backstage or that house party that happened at that apartment.
They're just outside, and it looks like where they did the Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. In fact, it probably is where they did Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. But anyway, he catches up with Toyman, and Karen foolishly tries to escape.
And once again, we have another casualty in the long line of love interest casualties for Paul Kersey in this disco lit sequence prior to her death. A lot of what do I want to say? It wasn't like disco balls, but and it's not strobes, but a lot of it's not as ominous as you would think a death scene would be building up to this. You would expect, something that's dangerous. You're getting all like these bright lights as they're making their way out of the discotheque. And then unfortunately, these are lights. The only light that she'll be seeing is the white light because she did, as they would say.
She did.
And unfortunately, she hasn't been in the movie for like the last hour. She really disappears. Once he really starts getting to work, she's just not even in the film at all. So
she's writing.
It's kind of hard to like inject her back in at the end and kind of make the stakes feel big. Like she kind of dies and Bronson's just like, no, all right, I guess I can kill you now.
There's a lot of blood squibs on her too, because when Bronson looks down, like her entire back, it's just like they threw like a giant sack of corn syrup on that suit jacket.
Yeah, Kersey had no problem interjecting her, but listen. She's dead, and that was like the thing keeping John P. Ryan alive.
Yeah,
he no longer has that.
Not a good gambit there to shoot your only leverage.
He no longer has the leverage, so Kersey just takes his grenade launcher and blows John P. Ryan up.
Or a dummy John P. Ryan.
Death.
The second dummy explosion.
I love it. So it's a wonderful death scene, despite it just being a dummy. But yeah, we get it. John P. Ryan, and then Raynor shows up, pulls his gun, and Kersey, we kind of go back. This is where we kind of go back to the beginning, where he's like, you know what? Look what's happened yet again. Another person I was in love with is dead. You know what? Do whatever. Like at that point, he's almost like, just fucking shoot me, basically. This life is not a good life that I'm leading.
A cursed life, some may say.
Indeed. But in classic Death Wish fashion, Raynor just kind of freezes up and Kersey walks away to vigilante another day.
I feel like we definitely needed a scene in there where Raynor discovers that his partner was dirty.
Yeah.
Because, like, that's the only way it buys. Loophole. No, that's the only way you buy that Raynor would be okay letting him go. Because if he really... Like nothing that Raynor has seen Kersey do in the last 20 minutes gets him off the hook for killing his partner unless he found out that his partner was dirty.
I mean, he does have that look on his face at the end. It's almost like sadness hits him. So it's almost like that realization, like, holy shit, like, was this guy right? Like, should I just let him go? But there's no definitive, like, hey, I did some digging and Phil had $25,000 in his lockbox or anything like that. It's really just the tension between him and Kersey, and then it's like, okay, you can do the Bill Bixby at the end of The Incredible Hulk walk away now. And then as he walks away, we just look up at the roof of the skyscraper, and it's like, is someone about to get thrown off there? Why are we going up that way? As we fade to black.
Just looking up to the next one, I guess. But there you
And
go.
there is a next one. Spoiler alert, folks.
There certainly is. And we will probably cover it someday here on this very podcast. But right now, Ryan Campbell, your final thoughts on Death Wish 4.
Yeah, I mean, it has some really good moments. I feel like at some point the movie is trying to do something interesting with the character of Paul Kersey and kind of the break the mold in some areas of the previous films and introduce like some new ideas, but it doesn't really commit to them. And then it kind of forgets a few things we talked about. The Rainer bit there at the end could have been shored up a little bit. I feel like there was a lot more they could have done with the love interest to kind of have her be kind of like not the devil on the shoulder, but maybe like the angel, to kind of reinforcing some of these things that Kersey's dealing with and like what he's become and what this life has led him to, kind of thing. Especially once he gets double crossed by Nathan White, there's a chance there for like an introspective, but again, I like what they did. I like the flip of this reputation that he's built up now being used against him and him kind of being played to, help the people that he should be going after. I like that element of it. So, in the end, of course, Bronson is fantastic in it. Good action. It's a good film, but I just think there's a little bit more that it seemed like they wanted to do, but didn't quite want to commit to.
Toyman, your thoughts?
Very good film. Obviously, we've all talked about our thoughts on part 3, so it's going to be hard to come back after that one with something as strong or as beloved. To me, what makes this film is John P. Ryan. To Ryan Campbell's point, just that level of villainy and Paul Kersey essentially being exploited, like Ryan said, I think was a nice twist to the story instead of having him just do the cut and dry, paint by numbers revenge flick. So I do like that added element to it. Pretty much everything that Ryan said, I would agree with. I just think that, the series really shifted with part 3, and also Bronson was getting older, and this was the point. It's almost very telling with his final words in the film was like, do what you have to do. It seemed like he was just willing to do anything as long as the price was right. So I don't necessarily believe that his heart was totally into this one, but at the same time, I don't feel like he was lazy with it. It was still an enjoyable flick with some excellent sequences. But to me, the scene stealer, the show stealer, was John P. Ryan as the quote unquote Nathan White. Just a fantastic, underrated villain in the action world.
He really does take this, and you needed that because you're coming off a 3, which is just so over the top. But one could say that Manny Fraker was not the greatest villain that Bronson ever faced, but John P. Ryan might have been the greatest villain. Certainly the greatest villain in the Paul Kersey world, although number 5 has a pretty good villain as well. So I have to think about that. It almost also feels like we could have just got, like, if they would have just went after Karen to begin with, would that have been enough to get Kersey to do all the dirty work that he had to do? I do like that they did the twist, though, where it wasn't just straight up like, hey, we got your woman, you got to do all these jobs for us, and you could get her back.
Yeah, because I think I think him only doing jobs to save her puts him in a morally compromised position as the hero. Whereas this way, he's still doing like quote unquote good things. Right. He's doing good things. He's actually taking out drug dealers that are causing harm. So like, even if the twist never happens, that's still a perfectly fine movie within the Death Wish universe that he's doing things we've seen him do. So I think the twist of it being played against him in a way, keeps his character true to himself and to what he is, but also gives him a little bit of an out at the end to kind of, do what he does. So I liked it on that twist anyway.
Yeah, it's true. Well, there you go, folks. It is Death Wish for the Crackdown. And I'm glad we got to talk about it. And I hope if you have not watched it, give it a watch. Or if you haven't watched in a while, give it a rewatch, because it's certainly worthy of that and worthy of your attention. And again, its anniversary is coming up later this week. So the perfect time to check it out. And if you do so, let us know what you think on social media. We are at Bulletproof Pod on X and Blue Sky, and at Bulletproof Action on Facebook and Instagram, and also at Bulletproof Action on YouTube. You can leave your comments on this very video.
Please do.
Please do indeed. I also want to thank everyone who checked out bulletproofaction.com in October. October was our best month of 2025.
Closing out strong. Let's go.
We can keep going up. No one's going to complain here, but October was a tremendous month. I want to thank everyone for checking it out. You know, we had some great stuff. We had Duty Palooza in October. We had the brand new movie featuring our friend Chad Michael Collins, The Wrecker. And we've got some brand new movies coming up as well in November, Ryan Campbell.
I was going to say that. Yeah, it's on my list of things to cover. It's not often we get to do new movies, and November has some big hitters coming with Predator Badlands and The Running Man Brain. Those are like, if you were going to say, what are some new movies that were right down the alley of Bulletproof Action, it's those two.
Absolutely. And not only will they be covered on the website, those are our next two episodes right here on the Bulletproof Podcast.
We'll be doing a little bit of new movie pod.
Indeed. And also, though, on the website, I will have another installment of World's Most Dangerous, something I've referenced throughout this program. Will from Exploding Helicopter will be back to continue his Blue Thunder retrospective. There's another new movie. I don't know that we'll cover it here on the podcast, but I'm excited for it, is Sisu, Road to Revenge. And I'll also be talking about a couple of books that would make some great holiday gifts. So,
World's Most Dangerous Books?
Bulletproof Book Club. I feel like Oprah,
Nice.
but we're going to have some books to talk about. But yeah, again, next week it will be Predator Badlands. The week after it will be The Running Man. Looking forward to checking both of those
I'm really
out.
excited for both of them. Brain.
I am.
Running Man looks really good. I think
Running Man more so. I'm probably more so than Predator, but that I'm going to see it. I've got my tickets for Predator, so I'm going to go into that. And I don't know what to. I don't have to cover it. You're covering it, so I could just sit back and enjoy. I like that sometimes. I don't feel that pressure. Like, okay, I've got to make my thoughts, and
Well, you got to talk about it on the pod afterwards. So
I will.
You got to have some thoughts.
I'll have some thoughts, maybe, or I'll just talk about soap. I could do whatever I want. Toyman, speaking of soap, do you have anything to say?
Obviously, no Surrender Cinema. There will be several new columns in November. I have a list of potential ideas, but nothing definite yet. Just stay tuned for those reviews. And then I am looking forward to the new films on the podcast, and then whatever else we can come up with for some classic action discussion here on the
There's
podcast.
one that we talked about covering, and we might be able to do it at the end of November. We'll find out, as long as the streaming gods are good to us. So we'll find that out. All right. So I think we've said everything we need to say. I think we've gone a good 90 minutes. Everyone out there probably ready to just turn us off if they haven't already. So all I can say is what I always say. Thank you for listening. And as always, stay tuned for more of the Bulletproof Podcast.